can I actually share one thing that I would say, well, we would say, that would be the one value or the one trait you want to look for in any partner?
Yes, I would love to hear it.
A desire to learn and to grow. Because if you don't have that, you got nothing.
What's up, you guys? It's Kait.
And JJ.
And we have a new episode this week with some friends of ours. We're so excited to introduce them. We're going to be talking about compatibility, the myth of compatibility, and, some of the superficial parts of compatibility and some of the actual things that we probably do need to look at when we're dating someone. Are you excited, JJ?
Yeah, I've always wondered are we an outlier because we're not the most compatible, but we are in some ways. Like we have some friends who are like unicorn couples who are just, their life like perfectly matches in every single way. They do everything together. I'm not saying I'm jealous, but I am curious, is that the gold standard and we settled, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I totally settled.
Yeah, me too.
Real quick, we're going to introduce our guest, but guys, in just 2 months, we have HODC in Dallas, and we want to invite y'all. It's over Valentine's Day. And yes, it's great if you're single, but also we recently launched that this is also for if you're in a relationship or even engaged. We're going to have some sessions for people in a relationship and people engaged. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be in Dallas. It's going to be create your own conference. It's going to be truly unlike ever before. And we're even going to have Chick-fil-A lunch. Do you know that?
Let's go.
Did I tell you that yet?
It's ordained.
It's ordained. Yes, it's the Lord's chicken. So go ahead and visit heartofdating.com/HODC. We'd love to have you guys in Dallas.
Okay, welcome to the interview, Megan and Casey.
Yeah, what's up, friends?
We're excited to be here.
Yes, of course.
And of course,
Guys.
I was on your podcast many, many, many years ago, way before JJ was even in the picture.
Many moons ago.
No, seriously, I came to your house. I remember when I met Casey for the first time, 2 months ago, I was like, Casey, I've actually been to your house. He's like, what?
He's like, that's
Creepy.
a
What?
weird way to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, hey,
I know where you
okay,
sleep.
cool.
He's like, you guys were sleeping, but yeah, I was there.
I know where you sleep at night. Okay, whoa.
But I am just so proud of you, Kait, because I feel like that was so long ago, and I knew that you were onto something really good, and you intrigued me from day one. And it's amazing to see how much you guys have done and reached, and it's helping so many people.
Oh, thanks, Megan. And your episode back in the day, it did so good. We talked about deal breakers and red flags, and it was just so good. I just remember people kept listening to it over and over and over. And I don't even remember all the things we talked about in that episode, but if you guys are curious, you can go back. I think it's 2019 when that came out. It was pre-COVID, that's for sure. So go check it out.
Okay, full circle, by the way,
yes.
Our daughter is in the dating world. She's in high school, and now we've taught her all the red flags. And so she knows them all, and she tells all her friends.
Whoa,
so she's got a one up. She's got a one up, over her friends. A lot of in her age group. But yeah, it's important, right?
I love it.
Yeah,
that's crazy because she probably was not dating when we were doing that podcast years ago.
It was like an elementary school or whatever it was. No, now she's driving and getting ready to for college. It's weird. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. Well, you guys have an incredible business ministry. It's kind of like business ministry. That's what we talk about. It's like a business, and it's also a ministry because you have a servant's heart. It's been ministry. Yeah. Can you guys tell us all about Marriage 365? Because it's incredible all that you guys are doing.
Yeah. I think as educators is really what I see our role is. We're educating people on having practical tools in marriage. Because if you don't have any tools, you don't have the mindset. It's a struggle. It's a struggle fest, and it's really hard because you're asking someone to build a legacy project, a house with no tools on their tool belt. And so one of the things we kind of talk about is that couples don't need more therapy. They just need better tools. And if they have a tool, they can learn how to communicate. They can learn how to sync with each other. Marriage would be amazing.
Yeah. And obviously we started Marriage 365 based off of our own story of we met, fell in love like everybody else, thought our love was enough. It wasn't. And we actually almost divorced our third year of marriage. I mean, we really grew hatred and resentment towards each other. It was bad, you
Bad.
guys. It was
Very bad.
ugly. We were very prideful. We're both very stubborn. I know we're going to talk about some compatibility today. We are very opposites in so many ways. We're more different than alike.
We're very like stubborn.
Yes.
I guess
that's actually where we're compatible.
We're compatible is that we're both stubborn. We're very competitive too. Like if we play cornhole, like if Megan gets one in, she's like, "Ooh, got one in," and she'll get in my face. I'm like, "We're just playing a game, hun."
I'm a trash talker, totally.
Okay. funny story. Wait, funny story. We are at a wedding. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I'm officiating a wedding. It was a friend of ours. She's covering her face. We're playing cornhole. She wins this round.
Well, I want a bunch of dudes against a bunch of dudes. Come on.
And
that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Is a big deal.
I would be rubbing that in everyone's face.
She screams so loud that everyone at the wedding party is staring at her at this point.
They thought something happened, something bad. And I was like, oh no, I just beat all the guys. I'm happy. I'm celebrating. And they all were like, what is wrong with your wife?
Wait, are you just like filthy at cornhole? Like, is that just your...
I mean, no, I'm left-handed. And so I have a little bit of an edge with certain sports.
What?
I
think anything to do with throwing a bag. And making it into a hole.
I think she was just trying to like brag that she was left-handed.
No, I mean, I do have this really weird talent of being able to make baskets. Like,
whoa,
really?
Like something into a hole. Oh God, this is
oh God,
not sexual.
Guys, this is a singles podcast.
We're making all the singles so uncomfortable right now.
Wow,
that's not.
You'd
what
think
I
that
meant.
would be my line.
Oh man. Anyways, all that to say, that was a sidebar there. But we were able to repair our marriage, of course. It took 3 years to destroy it. It took 4 to 5 years to heal it. We always tell people it did not happen overnight. And what we've learned on the other side is now what we share to millions of people around the world. And that's really what we want to do. And anytime we meet with anyone, it's what would young Casey and Megan need to know?
Yeah, it is interesting to think using us as an avatar because we were so naive and blind going into marriage. The idea that like we're dating, it's fun, this is great, let's just do this forever. And then you get married. And it's like, wait, what? Everything changes.
Yeah.
At least for us, it did. It felt like that for us.
I'm excited to have you guys, not just from your own personal story, but I personally love to find teachers who teach on relationships who've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of marriages. And I'm not just talking about, how many marriages have you officiated, Casey?
Yeah, in the past.
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
1,000 weddings he's officiated.
Which is just insane. But you guys have seen more than just 1,000 I do's. You guys have seen everything that comes after it.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
And so personally, one of my favorite people to learn from and teach singles is people who've just seen thousands of marriages, and basically you can reverse engineer it.
Correct.
And talk about, right. Now, the problem is staying in touch and making sure that you're still relevant, that a single person, they know that you understand what they're going through first, and then you can teach them about something that they need to know.
You guys also have an awesome book that's out now. Is it out like in December? So is it like now?
Yeah.
December 3rd. Yep. Out on Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble. It's awesome. It's called 365 Connecting Questions for Couples.
Yeah. And it's basically a question a day that's going to spark conversations. And, really anybody that's dating, engaged, or married can find this book helpful because, I even think about, we're talking about dating, it's so important to ask the tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to have the harder conversations because you're in that season of evaluating. Is this the person I want to hitch my wagon to? Now, I don't think that we're naturally equipped to just show up for a date and ask, tell me about, what did your parents teach you about money? That's not like a natural question or a question we even see modeled on like some sort of rom-com or sitcom. But but that's one of the questions in the book. And that's really important to know about someone before going into marriage. And this book just provides prompts for couples to have that conversation without any sort of like pretext. Cause I think if you ask that question, someone's going to be asking the question, like, what's the question behind the question?
Yeah, like, why are you asking
What's the
this?
motive behind this?
Right.
So have kind of like a neutral party saying, here's the question, to go for it.
Yep.
You know, everyone's safe.
Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite question, real quick, before we
Oh,
jump
You
in?
have one? Oh my
I
gosh,
know.
there's 365.
I feel like
how do
we
they have
should
one?
we should probably have the book in front of us, but we don't. So
Okay.
I don't know if I have a favorite question, but
I've got one.
oh, go for it.
Well,
Oh gosh.
can we bring it
Well,
up?
it's more of a marriage question.
It
but
is.
Sure.
Okay.
The
fine.
book is for dating people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I go for it? Okay. It's August 24th, and the question is, how does it make you feel when I bring you to orgasm? It's my favorite sex question.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
It's a good one. Maybe not for dating, but yeah, that's
your crowd isn't.
Thank you. So
Yes.
for the singles,
You can edit that
skip
one out.
August
For the-
24th. Just rip
Yeah.
that one out. Save it for later.
Yeah. And I think that's
Put
what
a post-it note over it.
Yeah. I think that's what I love about the book is that obviously, yes, we're Marriage 365. So we geared it more for marriages, but majority of the questions are for
Yeah.
dating, engaged, or married couples. I think
Yeah, just couples overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of a really good question is more about like when someone's under stress. And I don't remember how it's phrased, but it's something like when you're experiencing a lot of stress, how do you respond? Like, how do you respond mentally, emotionally, and physically? And I think that like we never talked about that before we're married.
No.
And stress is just part of your life. And I think a lot of these questions, what I love is that it makes you actually go inward first because you may have never even thought about that question. And now you're being asked that. And so it's like self-awareness. And then also we call it like partner awareness.
Yeah, but here's what's interesting is even you're struggling to come up with that question in the spot. Like we wrote this book.
Yeah.
But I think that but we were in a mindset when we wrote that book, when we were writing those questions, but not everybody can get there or be in that state, especially if you're on a date, you're out and it's busy. And
You've been working all day, you're tired.
So to have that prompt, I will tell you right now, I am the biggest fan of our own book because we use it. We use it on date nights all the time.
We do.
That's great.
Yeah,
I would love to use it.
We need to use it because
Yeah.
we love going on walks and like asking a question on the walk. And that's like, and we try to go right now on daily walks as much as we can together.
Yeah, it'd be a
So
great
that would
format.
That's like a great way for couples to do that. So let's talk about compatibility. I know you were going to start off asking a question.
Well, it's just so lofty. Like people have different definitions of it. They say like we're not compatible. We just don't have the connection with, and then it like funnels down. We don't have that spark. A new one that a lot of what people say, especially on dating shows, is it's just magnetic, or it's just not very magnetic. You know what I mean? So, like when we say compatibility, what does it even mean? Like, can you just give us a good foundation?
Mhm.
Yeah. So compatibility, I think what you were targeting, JJ, is more of like the sexual, romantic, passionate compatibility when someone's like, oh, it's magnetic. And what we would say is compatibility is way more than that. It's about values, it's about characteristics, it's about personalities, and it's about belief systems. And so I think when people are initially physically or sexually attracted to one another, they believe that, oh, we're compatible. And what I'm trying to debunk here is to say, sure, maybe you are, maybe you're not. We don't know yet. That's just the feel-good hormones going off, right? That we all have. But what we want to focus on is more so, what are the values and beliefs and things that you actually have in common and that you both kind of line up on, right? And so like a common one that we would say for Casey and I is our faith. I mean, we both went to a Christian college. That's where we met. So luckily we instantly knew, okay, we're both Christians. Like our faith is important to us. So we can talk about God. We go to church together. We can pray together. Like we have that. We're compatible in that area. But we are more different than alike, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other thing is that, obviously the sexual part, what's interesting about that, just on an aside, is that, that can also develop in ways. And like, that is something that you form and shape together in marriage. So it's so interesting. Like, yes, there needs to be a level of attraction there. We talk about attraction a lot, but like that compatibility and that spark, you're not going to have a spark for the rest of your life. It's eventually going to, so that's something that has to be cultivated and can be grown in. Another thing I see a lot of people characterize compatibility as, usually when I'm hearing people say, well, we're not compatible, usually it comes down to lifestyle, but it comes down to like nitty gritty weird things when it comes to lifestyle. It's like we like the same kind of music. Or if like they don't like the same kind of music, we're not really compatible. Or we like both the same kind of vacation. So we're compatible, or we don't like the same kind of vacations, which is we're not compatible.
Or it's like we both do CrossFit, or it's like, well, maybe she's a runner and I like lifting weights, so we're not that compatible.
Like, I hear so many like quote gym rats being like, oh, she has to go to the gym just as much as I go to the gym, and if she doesn't, we're not compatible.
But here's the thing: underneath the working out is a value system of I care about my physical health.
Yeah,
right.
So, or travel. Underneath that is I like adventure.
Yes.
So that's what's really interesting is that a lot of times with compatibility, if you actually go to a deeper level, you'll see there's a deeper meaning behind of why someone's doing that behavior.
The value system of someone, because when we talk about couples fight about money, but when couples fight about money, they're not fighting about dollars and cents. They're fighting about a value that money represents for them. For me, money represents fun. So the more money I have, the more fun we're going to have.
Oh my gosh.
And for Megan, it's safety. The more money she has, the safer she feels.
So who's the spender and who's the saver?
Yeah. Or like Kait wants to buy like the organic grass-fed, hand-cuddled, tucked into bed every night meat. And I'm like, just get the
Costco
meat,
brand. Just get the Costco brand.
Yeah. Costco. And I'm like, do you know what preservatives and what hormones they put in those cows?
But it's the value underneath it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a total value system. Yeah. And so couples can actually start fighting about milk, about spending, about being at the gym.
Music.
And they think, well, we're not compatible because you don't want to go to the gym as much as I do. But what Megan said is so good. It actually has everything to do with what's underneath the surface that's not being talked about, which is your value system.
Okay, so can I just read this really quick? Because this is like the definition of what we say values are. Values are the things that are important to us, the characteristics and behaviors that motivate us and guide our decisions. That's what they are. Ooh. So when you're at the grocery store and you're making a decision, organic or non-organic, it's your value that drives that. This is why we want to bring this conversation deeper, because again, I think it's true. Oh, well, we just don't like the type of music. And when you get to understand someone and you go, oh, that's why they want X, Y, Z. Oh, that's why Casey wants to constantly have fun and spend our money.
Okay, and
he values fun.
We talk about music. Megan and I are on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm listening.
I mean, we're probably like you guys, very opposite in many ways.
Oh, like I love Metallica and she likes Celine Dion. So
there we go.
Celine. Now, Megan likes the musicals. And I'm listening to EDM or I'm listening to metal. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, actually same. You guys are the same. And me and Megan, like I'm all about the musicals. I want to bring JJ to I'm like, can we go and see this Broadway show? And JJ's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to
I'd rather die. Yeah.
Like, no.
So here's my question. Like, should we just have not gotten married? And like, at what point is like, you're choosing someone who's more compatible than not? Like, can you give me a blueprint? Because I have friends who like, they do everything together and they really are like a unicorn couple. I'm like, did we choose bad?
Yeah. Okay, well, let me just say something let's talk about musicals. Okay.
Yeah.
Megan's
okay. Great.
You wouldn't catch me on a hot Sunday listening to a musical by myself. Okay. That's just not going to happen. But do I go to the shows? Do I enjoy watching The Greatest Showman? I have learned to appreciate these things because Megan enjoys them. And so even though we're not, quote, finger quotes, compatible, I've learned to appreciate other things in life because I see joy. I see Megan like thrive and kind of like come to life when a musical comes on. And when she's excited about something, it brings a lot of joy to me to see her in that excitement.
So to answer your question is, I'm really glad you got married because we actually believe there's a reason why a lot of opposites attract because we are drawn to people that are different to us when we're dating. It's like, wow, I don't do it that way. That's so interesting. And we're able to appreciate it and admire it when we're dating and even look past it. And then when we get married, it's like, why are you doing the exact opposite thing that I do? Why can't you be just like me? Right? And so, JJ, what I want to talk about is there's something called low maintenance marriages. And not a lot of people talk about them. And when you're talking about your friends and they're so compatible and they do everything together, they're in what we call a low maintenance marriage. And there are usually very too passive or easygoing people, or they really are just so compatible. And I will say that's about 10 to 15% of marriages. That's it. The rest of us are in the same kind of situation you guys are in that we're in, where our differences are there and they're loud. And we believe, Casey and I, and we've seen this, that it actually brings beautiful balance to a marriage. And it really lets you grow and like he said, open your mind to new things and different things. And I will say, especially like as we have 2 teenagers, if I married someone just like me, like my clone, wow, our kids would not have as much fun. I mean, I bring the structure. I keep them alive, like we make sure that like they're going to their doctor's appointments. But
That's
like
good.
Casey on Tuesday's going to Magic Mountain with them and riding roller coasters all day. And I'm not even going, by the way, because I get sick on those things. And so I'm doing a spa day. But you know what? Like our kids have that balance. They see that there are 2 different ways to parent. And it's not that one way is better than another. They actually need both of us. And so I would say that if couples got married and they saw, or even when you're dating and you saw the incompatibility and you're like, well, we're different here. Most of it, I'm going to say this, most of it is okay that you're different. But I do believe there has to be a couple of fundamental values and beliefs that you should be aligned in.
I just want to say too, and I think Casey, you're going to say something. I think I loved everything you just said, Megan. And then what you just said at the end too, a couple core values or beliefs. Like, I think that's the big thing is the key word is a couple, because sometimes what we're looking for is 30, 40, 50. Like it's like a whole long list of, well, this is my value. This is my value. This is my value. Because in a program we teach, we do a core values exercise for our students where there's a big list of core values. Like there's a lot. And you look at this list and there's great values on this list. I mean, you can theoretically look at it and be like, I want like 90 out of 100 of these, or all of them. And, but it's like, I can't look for all of those in a partner, nor do I really represent these in my life. I think that's the other thing is which ones of these are you actively acting out and making decisions out of? And that's where I think where you just said like a couple, that's where we have to choose a couple. We tell people at least top 3 core values, at least, like you can have a few more than that, but like some people don't know any of their values.
I love that you guys do that with people. That's amazing, by the way, because that's what we teach people at Marriage 365. You got to know your own values.
I love that you're talking about, Kait, that this idea, we would consider it a team, right? So we're team Caston, right?
Yes.
And
Team Tomlin here.
Yeah. And your team is like, if it was 2 Caseys, like nothing would get done. It'd be a lot of fun and a lot of noise and a lot of excitement. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to be married to me. Because if that's the case, my team identity would be very one-dimensional. But the idea that,
but you would have a lot of fun.
a lot of fireworks.
JJ and Casey are clones.
I mean, after a while, if it was a fireworks show 24/7, you just it gets old, and that's one-dimensional. Megan, now part of the team, creates this 2 dimensions. These 2, the yin and the yang, the balance. Like, for example, I am 100% on the gas all the time, but Megan and her influence in my life has opened me up to spa days and actually going and just being at a spa and doing nothing. And I am so grateful for that. Like that has brought a new dimension to who I am. And so, as you're dating someone, it's not the compatibility issue. Like you go back to core issues, but it's good that you're different because it creates variety. And the joke is like, if marriage is about becoming one, I think when you first get married, you're trying to figure out which one.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking like, well, my way is the right way.
Yeah.
And marriage is about opening yourself up to like recognize like, no, we are different. And we need to understand that difference. This is important. But then also we need to rely on each other in the places that Megan's strong and I'm not. Like when it comes to organization, we just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
She's smiling. She's more organized than I am. Now, I will defend my organizational skills to her in those moments. But the reality is she's more organized, and I got to lean on that front.
All right, guys, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I want to talk about this holiday season because I have to admit, I love the month of December and I love the holidays. And one thing I just love is how cozy this season is. I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to put on my fake fireplace or my real fireplace, get that really cozy blanket. I have a really, really, really soft blanket that I love, some fuzzy socks, and watch a Christmas movie or just literally just have a hot beverage sitting on my couch. You know what else I love as we're talking about being cozy? I think December and this time of year is an incredible time to reflect on this last year. What was hard about this last year? What was good about this last year? And sometimes when we reflect on those things, it's really helpful to bring in another voice to help us process those things. That's why I am such a big fan of therapy. I can't even tell you guys how much therapy I've done this last year, but especially in the past few months, being that I've also been through 2 miscarriages back to back. But this month, leading up to the new year, I am really spending in reflection and spending time with my therapist and really processing through my emotions, the good emotions and the harder emotions, and just the things that are coming up in me, the new tendencies I'm seeing, the patterns that I'm noticing in myself that maybe I actually want to change as I go into 2025. Also, I don't know about you guys, but the holidays can sometimes be a harder time for me, especially when it comes to family on both sides of me and JJ's family. And therapy is a great way to help you set boundaries, have hard conversations with some of your loved ones, and really just figure out what can you do to best keep yourself happy and whole during the holiday season. So if you're thinking about trying therapy, I really recommend giving BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. All you need to do is fill out a brief questionnaire where you get matched with a licensed therapist. And what's great is you can also switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which is a really great perk. So I want to encourage you to find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/HOD to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HOD.
Would you caution me if I was like a person listening and I just say, yeah, but I have all the time in the world. I'm cool chasing the 10-15% unicorn low maintenance marriage. Like, is that just a personal thing saying, okay, that's fine. You might be waiting a while, or hey, there's just simply goodness in both. Like, they're both great. They both can work. I would actually say, even though the 90% is maybe harder, there's a little bit maybe more reward over time. Like,
I
how
think
would
there's
you?
more sharpening in the 90% in ways like,
100% agree with
because
you.
I'm having to learn how to be less controlling, how to be more flexible, because I like my house in a certain order. I like all these certain things. And now JJ's coming to the picture and, he's like walking outside barefoot, walking inside, like just all these different things. And I'm like,
I can't believe he does
I
that.
can't believe you would do that. No, but it's seriously, it's
He
like
should be-
very sharpening for me.
He should be hung for that. I mean, it's just criminal offense.
How dare you? How dare you walk
Yeah.
Well,
barefoot in
even
and
with
out
our
of the house?
child, I have other moms say to me, you are so flexible, because we'll be out and about and JJ just literally hands our daughter, who's 8 months old right now, to other people, like a stranger on the street. Like, he's like, oh, you think she's cute? Here, you can hold her. And I'm like, wait, oh my gosh.
I'm going to make a generalization, but for the most part, when we've encountered low maintenance marriages, we've encountered people that have childhoods and homes that they've come out intact, that have very, I would say, less trauma or capital T trauma in their lives.
Mhm.
So they walk through life with this wholeness. Now, recognizing that, I think, almost 80% of millennials grew up in broken homes, meaning that a lot of us and the majority of us have been, raised with divorce and, call it small T trauma. Divorce is trauma, creating emotional wounds. So there's parts of us that are all like kind of oozing out, and like we're all broken. And if anything, Megan and I, when we were dating, it was like my mom's been married 6 times. and her dad's been married multiple times as well. And so we kind of saw that trauma in each other, and we're almost like trauma bonded.
Yeah, because we saw our parents have affairs and get remarried and divorced, remarried. And it's almost what drew us together in a weird way, if that makes sense, you guys. Like when we were dating, we had a lot to talk about with our dramatic families. And it was one thing we both were like, we're never going to be like them. Right. But then we ended up like them because we had no tools, and we knew we didn't want that, but we didn't know how to not be like them. So I think that if you're sitting there waiting around, I think you might be waiting around a long time. And I think if you find a person that you're really compatible with, I'd say, yeah, hold on to them. It's going to be great. And it's not to say that those couples don't have their fights, right? But it is true. They're in a lower maintenance marriage. I will say too, oftentimes those couples, usually one, if not both, are more easygoing or passive people.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, well,
It's
it is funny you say that because I was thinking about this one unicorn couple. We call them unicorn couples. You guys call them low maintenance ones. As you still get to know them, though, they still share like the conflict that they go through at 11 o'clock at night. At just different times. They're still human beings, so it's still going to be difficult at different times. It's just going to be maybe a little bit easier to resolve through. Have you guys ever heard of the black cat and golden retriever dating theory?
I mean, I've heard of it. I don't know if you've heard of it. No,
I've never heard of it.
It's kind of, you can kind of like guess, what it is from the title.
Yeah.
But basically the theory is like black cats are just attracted to golden retrievers and vice versa, like something who's very different than you. You kind of think like maybe like the punk rock girl and like the very clean cut, like Republican conservative guy having this, that's like, a very good picture of it. But
so am I the black cat and you're the golden retriever? I don't like cats.
I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think the analogy is supposed to be where you're one or the other necessarily. I think it's more of just if everyone thinks of a golden retriever, you think of like the most likable dog that like it's so like predictable. I think you'd be probably more the golden retriever if we were to identify. No, but I do agree. You guys, we polled our audience, our Marriage 365 audience about a year ago and asked, are you and your spouse more opposite or alike? And it was an overwhelming response. It was like 82% said we're more alike, or more different than alike. 82%. That's a lot.
To that point, actually, almost every time over the years now that I've asked couples that are together and married, I love asking this question. I'm like, is this the person you thought you were going to get married to? Like if I would have written this person's description down with all the details, is that the person? Does that match like
you wrote
what
in
you exactly envisioned?
When you were 16 years old in youth group, and prayed for?
Probably around 80, 90% also are like, no, I never thought I would marry somebody like this, but it's amazing. When it's a healthy marriage, obviously, sometimes it's like, no, and I wish I had it now. But that's the thing.
I'm really grateful that I didn't marry the person that I thought I wanted to marry.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because I think you kind of make stories up in your head like, why doesn't Megan like to go on roller coasters? Or why doesn't she like to go to heavy metal concerts where, there's a mosh pit? Like, why doesn't she? I would love for my wife to be in the mosh pit with me because that would be a lot of fun.
Wow.
But that's just not going to happen. Right?
Can I actually share one thing that I would say, we would say, that would be the one value or the one trait you want to look for in any partner?
Ooh.
Yeah. I want to see it. Yes, I would love to hear it.
A desire to learn and to grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if you don't have that, you got nothing. If you ask your dating person, you're on a date, and you're like, hey, have you ever done therapy? Like, oh no, I would never go. It's like red flag. Like, hey, have you, hey, I noticed you're struggling with this. Like, have you ever thought about getting help? And they're like, oh, no. People who don't raise their hand and ask for help, people who don't want to learn and grow about themselves, about other things, about other people, because that value, we never arrive. Casey and I have been married 21 years. It's not like we've just arrived and we're like, oh, this is great. Like every day is a new day. Now we're parenting teenagers. This is a whole new chapter. We're entering into like the empty nest phase of life, right? We remember when we were at your guys' phase with little kids, like that's a whole new other phase, right? And so we never arrive. And so I feel like the quality and the value that, every human should have on this planet, I understand that's not reasonable, but that's what you want to look for, is someone who's like, I don't know this about my past, but you know what? I want to learn more about it, and I'm willing to go there. And I don't know why I respond this way out of anger, or I don't know why I shut down with that, but you know what? I'm not going to just be okay that I shut down. I want to learn and grow and move past this. And I think it's the same, of course, when you have faith in God. Like someone who's like, I'm good with God. It's like, well, no, that's a two-sided relationship. Like it should always be changing and growing. And there's dark moments and there's amazing moments. But if you have that desire to want to learn and grow and go closer to God, oh my gosh, it's a win. No matter how different you are, if you've got that. And that's the one thing I would say that we really stress with our premarital couples. Because we do a lot of premarital counseling, and we're like, I love that you guys are both here, because that's showing that you want to learn and grow and become better people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have like a game. You're gonna help me out with it.
Okay.
We're gonna give you guys like a list of this versus this, and you tell us like, would this be a big challenge or a small challenge in marriage?
We might have differences with this. Let's see.
Okay, I'll go first. You got a big spender and you got a big saver.
No, I don't think it's a big issue. I mean, I think it's going to be an issue, but I think that's our marriage and we make it work.
I give it mid. Mid.
Ooh, mid.
Yeah.
Mid.
Low,
Okay,
mid, or high?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, low, mid, or high.
I go mid.
Okay, he's influencing me. I'm going to say mid. Mid.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about somebody who is type B versus somebody who's type A?
Oh, that's low.
Low.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to hear that encouragement. That's us.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a good one. Very optimistic with a very pessimistic, cynical.
That's high, only because of the pessimistic. Pessimistic people tend to be really difficult spouses. Just FYI.
Okay, pessimistic or realistic?
So so I'm a realist.
That's our dynamic.
I'm not a pessimist, but I'm a realist. And so when you're a realist with an optimist, it's low.
Yeah, but
when you're a pessimistic and an optimistic, that's gonna cause a lot.
Do you think like realists and cynical pessimism are like next door like they're like next door neighbors?
No.
To the optimistic person.
To the optimistic person,
feels
yes.
like it, yes.
But to a realist, no, it's not. When you look like I'm not. I mean, you guys know me. I'm not a negative. I'm not like, oh, the glass is half empty person. But I am a realist. I'm like, what's actually happening right now? I don't live in like the la la land, and I don't live in the negative land. I'm like pretty even. I'm a very like steady person. So
I'm La La Land.
Yeah, I'm more realist and JJ's more optimist, but I wouldn't say I'm like a pessimist. Like, oh, this is like never gonna happen.
Okay, what's the next one?
Okay, how about somebody who loves going to the gym and very active, and somebody who's not?
I mid to high, because we're talking value systems about caring for oneself, right? If someone's not eating healthy and not going to the gym, staying active, we're kind of talking about a value system about how do you care for your body. And I'm going to say now it's going to probably go a little higher, because I get a chance to work out, but I also do that because I want to look good for Megan.
Yeah, he does. Woo!
After 22 years, I don't mind a little spanking of the butt, when she walks by.
Yeah.
And
it's not a jiggly butt, so hey.
But I mean, there is something about like there's love and care. Like I care about the way I look to Megan, because I don't want to just look like a slob.
Yeah, that becomes a bigger issue, I think, as you get older. And I will say, when we got married, Casey never went to the gym, and I always have. But again, if you're willing to learn and grow, and you can be influenced, I was like, hey, why don't you come with me? And then he ended up falling in love with it. So it's not that it can't change, but you don't want to go in expecting it to change.
I know.
Right.
Kate's the same way.
Well, I have a question on this though, because I just want to put a little pin in this moment, because I do see this be a big holdup for a lot of people, but not in what you guys are saying, because what you're saying is very clear. But where I think it gets gray for some people is, I'm a gym rat. I go to the gym all the time, 4 days, 5 days a week. I eat a very specific way with the macros, blah, blah, blah. And my expectation, so let's say my partner or the person I'm interested in, they eat relatively healthy. But the word healthy is very like on a scale, like what is healthy, and they go on walks, they're active in some ways,
I was gonna say,
but
you don't have to go to the gym. You could be walking every day. That's phenomenal. I think what I'd like to say is the person who's actually going to the gym, counting their macros and is obsessed with that, and it's a control issue typically. They're trying to, there's something
There's
deeper
a value.
there. I mean, as marriage coaches, we would go deeper into that. Side note, and I would encourage someone listening to do that. And I'm not saying like if you're on a weight loss program and you're doing that, that's great. You don't want to live your whole life that way though. I mean, if you make good choices and eat healthy and work out, like it's okay to have a cupcake every once in a while. Like no one's going to die,
Right.
you know, unless if you're allergic to cupcakes or sugar or something like that. But I think that the goal that, well, yeah, exactly, Kait. What we're saying is underneath it, what we would say is if you value working out and health that much, for you not to be with someone who doesn't value it is concerning. But yeah, it's a matter of the level of respecting each other. Of like, no, they walk every day, or they
versus projecting.
correct. It's not
Correct.
you don't want to go
Projecting
extremes.
expectation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay, we have a few more to get through because I can think of a bunch.
Yeah.
What about like the outdoor enthusiast versus someone who's a stay-at-home?
This is high for me.
Okay.
Are you talking about the introvert versus extrovert?
No.
No, I'm
Or
talking
no?
about like the camper Patagonia guy.
Oh, we should
you
do
know,
introvert, extrovert next, though. Yeah.
And
Make
the
sure
one
you
who
ask
just
us about
doesn't.
the introvert and extrovert because we have a lot to say about
Oh well, we'll do that one next.
So I think it's mid to low
that. Yeah, I do too. I would say low.
because I mean
I don't.
I go off roading with my Subaru. I got it lifted and the whole thing, and I go do that on my own.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
He's like in a
Or with
Subaru
guys,
club.
But
Yeah.
I'm not expecting Megan to sleep on the on the
Oh,
floor.
I don't camp
in the forest.
I don't camp. I do
Yeah.
hotels. So
Because
Megan, you and me are
for
the
some
same.
people
Like, I
it's
think we're kind of the
a
same
big
person.
deal. Okay, do the next one.
Well, but okay, wait. So that also though comes into like vacations because let's say I dated a guy back in the day who like the kind of vacation, actually more than one guy, who the kind of trips they wanted to go on were camping trips. The kind of things they wanted to do were, I know exactly your face, mine too. And I was like, I'm sorry, like I'm just not about bugs and sleeping in the wilderness. Like that's not my jam. Like my idea of fun is not going fly fishing, but I like going on hikes. I like being in nature, and then I like going to my hotel at night or my cute cabin.
And getting
like
a good night's sleep. Yes.
Yeah, and having a fire. Like, can we do that?
So
You know,
in that
so-
scenario, I would say you try to test and like you go to like a resort or you do like a Cabo vacation and you see how they handle it. Because
yeah,
why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it actually be both? And the both could be he does the camping trip with his dude friends or the kids.
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Like that's okay.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of dads who take their kids camping and mom stays home. How great is that? Look what a blessing that is. Like mom
Yes.
gets the weekend
mom.
off. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but the dad's choosing to go to camping. He doesn't have to
That's true.
because I'm not
That's
choosing
true.
to go to camping.
Well,
I'll probably do that.
This
Yeah.
kind of comes down to hobbies because you're
Yes.
kind of now entering into hobbies, activities. Do you golf? Do you
Hobby
not golf?
lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fun to enter into your spouse's hobbies, but it's not mandatory.
Yep.
That now you have to call off the relationship because you don't like to camp.
And if you think about how much time is actually spent on our hobbies when we work full time, you're parenting, you've got house projects,
Yeah.
sex, all that. You look at like
Whoa, sex?
you even look at like how much sex
How
takes
much time-
part of your marriage.
yeah.
Well, do you want to go
Right,
there?
it's such a small percentage. But
Exactly.
you know,
thought you
I
were
would
gonna
say
it's so
hiking.
small. It's so small. That's what
Hiking is one of those bigger ones because that's like a 3-day hobby versus
Yes,
like
correct.
watching a football game for 3 hours.
Right,
4
because
hours
like
on a
he loves
Saturday,
sports, golf, football. I was not a sports girly. I'm entering into some of it now.
She's in her sports
You know,
girl
where
era,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'll watch a game with you. I'll go to a game with you. But
Yeah.
like, am I going to watch sports Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday during football season? No.
Okay.
Like, you know,
How about the next one?
introvert, extrovert? Let's go there because that.
Ooh, that-
I
That's a
would love
big
to
one.
hear that.
So
Yep.
if they are high extrovert and high introvert, then we're in a very dangerous category.
Yeah,
because we've seen relationships where that person that just wants to get out and go do stuff and their partner is just absolutely unwilling to do that.
And then vice versa.
That's when it becomes really, really difficult.
Here's what I'd say. We're both extroverts, so luckily we're compatible in this area, and I'm really grateful that we're compatible. This is one that we get a lot of pushback when we do talk about this a lot at Marriage 365 because you know what it is? It's a life of sacrifice constantly for both people. And listen, if you're okay with that and you're compatible in a lot of other ways, it's going to be fine. You will be fine. So what I would say is if you're compatible in other areas, it'll be okay. It'll be manageable. Just know both of you are going to sacrifice. The introvert's always going to want to sacrifice and be like, well, I got to go to the party. Okay. And the extrovert's always going to be sacrificing on their end of being like, we're at home again, or we're just, it's just us two again. And I want to be with people.
And then when they get resentful about the fact that they have to go along with that, then they become the party pooper, or they're sitting at, or the vice versa. They're sitting at home kind of like, we should be out.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a high one for us. And we would just make sure that if we were doing premarital with a couple, just to be very aware that it's a life of sacrifice. Doesn't mean that you're not going to make it. Doesn't mean you're not going to survive. There's a lot of happily married couples that are introvert, extroverted, but it's a sacrifice. Just know it. Just be aware.
Like, what's funny about that is we're both extroverted, but JJ's like an extreme extrovert, and I'm extroverted, but like I also need like internal time and downtime. Like JJ, like if he had it his way, he would have somebody over to our house every day of the week, you know? And I'm
yes,
like,
I do know, Kait. Yes, I do
Yeah.
know, because I'm married to the same person, apparently. Yes. No, Kait.
And so like,
it's hard. Like COVID did a number on Casey. He's like, I'm going crazy. I need people. Like, oh, that was horrible. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Casey's eyes right now.
I know.
Casey's
He's thinking about that.
PTSD
Okay,
from
JJ,
COVID.
really quick.
I went into slight depression, actually.
Oh yeah, he did.
I went into
I
a
believe it.
depressive spell where I was like, this is terrible.
Okay, JJ, do you ever do this where you go to an event without Kait, and Casey does this all the time, and he'll be like, well, it ends at 11. I'll probably come home early. And then it's like 11, it's like 11:30, and I get a text and he's like, well, we ended up going to like smoke cigars after, or we like decided to like go play pool. And I'm like, and I already knew it, by the way. Like, you don't have to be home at 11. Like, I don't care. But every time he tells himself, I'll be home early, and not once has that ever happened. And I'm okay with that. Extreme extrovert. The fun is happening. He's there. He's ready to go. Do you ever do that?
JJ, has that ever happened?
Yeah, it sounds like my golf rounds, and every time I leave the house solo.
Every time, almost every time JJ leaves the house solo, I would say that's the case.
That's probably
He'll be at the gym. He's like, I'm going to be home at 11 from the gym.
Okay, it's like, so 12:30.
And then I call him at 11. He's in a conversation deep with somebody, having fun. And
every text is, well, I started talking to so-and-so, and then we got talking about this.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm like, you don't need to tell me. I almost go now. I just expect it. It's going to happen. But that's because he's an extreme extrovert. So can you imagine an extreme introvert marrying an extreme extrovert? How bad that would be.
Oh my goodness.
It actually, there's a very high divorce rate with that. Now, those are the extremes, right? But we're married to the extremes. So we get it. Yeah.
From the singles and the dating couples that we see, that one's a huge, I've seen a lot of people walk away in relationships and engagement from that one, because they just, especially for the extroverts, they look at their life and they're like, it's going to be a boring life for 50 years. And the introverts are also terrified because they're like, this is my nightmare. Like, this is 50 years of what? And so I think it's probably the right decision, because then they're just going to resent the person their whole life.
So true. Really quick, this is the last thing on compatibility. I think it's just important. So what about family compatibility? So in terms of your family and their family, this is a big one we get in relationship of like, caring a lot about if their families get along. Yeah.
So one of the things we do in premarital is we love using the scale of 1 to 10. And I think that that's a great way to measure when you're talking about all these different compatibilities. We'll get into family in just a second, but to be able to measure, like, I remember a premarital counseling we did with a couple where he wanted to be with family all the time. It was every holiday, every month, there was something happening.
A weekly meal. They did a weekly Sunday night dinner.
Yeah. And she was just flustered by that. And as we started to dig deeper, we realized like he came from a very healthy family. She did not. And the awareness
with the question
dawned on them when we asked them this, can you rate how important this is to you on a scale of 1 to 10? And he's like, this is like a 9.5 for me. And we turned to her and we're like, well, how important is this?
Family and spending time with family.
And she was like, it's like a 2.
It's a 2.
And both of them looked at each other with like wide eye, like, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. I was sitting here trying to understand why you're interested in always being with family. Why couldn't it just be us? And he's like, this is part of us, is being part of this identity, this family unit. So
I don't think it matters as much if the families get along. That's up to them. They're adults. whether it happens or not, because even the greatest families sometimes don't get along. I think what matters more is what we're talking about, going back to values, is those are more extremes. I mean, he's a 9 or a 10 and she's a 2. That's going to be rough. And it has been rough for them. They've been married now like 10 years and it's like their number one fight. Again, can it work? Absolutely. But it's going to be sacrifice on both parts constantly. So I think anytime we look at those things, so I mean, I would say family, if you marry someone or you're dating someone and they're obsessed with their family, they're really close to their family, just know that that's not going away. That's part of life. And you don't want to be the one to make them be away from their family if that's what they value, and vice versa. You don't want to make someone who's like, hey, listen, like my friends and my church life, my like work friends are like my family. That's awesome. And like, that's their life. That's their family. I mean, we family is not blood, right? Family is just who you make, who's in front of you and who cares for you.
Okay. But this is speaking from a couple that we just worked with, where things can become really hard when you move into marriage is if that person allows that family to take a large part of their life. There's so many stories of where that family then oversteps boundaries and steps into the relationship, whether that's like criticizing parenting styles or the way they spend money, or you guys are drinking too much, or yeah. So you do have to be aware that if it may be this beautiful thing, you're like, I love the fact that she's so close with her mom and her parents, and I'm not close with my parents, and I love that about her. Okay. Yeah. But then you get married and the years go by and she's like always talking to her mom, always sharing and confiding in her mom. Right. Yeah. So there's, and then you're asking like, can you please set a healthy boundary up between you and your mom? That's when fireworks start.
Yep.
So it's this one thing that's really beautiful in dating if you're attracted to that, but then asking them to set up a boundary with their family that they're so enmeshed with.
Yes,
that was something, so attractive at one point now becomes a battleground.
Yeah. So if
and then you're the bad guy, the family hates you. I've seen that. I can think of a couple.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of stories.
And
about that,
they hate the husband because he's actually establishing healthy boundaries.
Yep.
And he is like the villain. Like he cut off a lot of bad things, inappropriate
bad
things.
habits, bad.
And I mean, we all love Jesus here. So, I mean, obviously there's scripture that backs us up, but the whole eating and cleaving, we're not ever telling someone, you shouldn't be part of your family, of course, unless if they're toxic and abusive, but there has to be healthy boundaries when you're dating. And if you don't see those healthy boundaries when you're dating, you're not going to see them when you're married. So, right. Yeah, that's kind of one of those things.
I'm going to say,
well, because Casey was one of those guys. You were really close to your family. I was drawn to that. That was our story.
That's true.
And do you know how much drama we've had with his family? It's been some of the most drama. Hard.
I think that's a hidden time bomb. You really have to walk into that very carefully. And that's going back to the question book, is asking that dating person like, hey, if we need to set boundaries with your family, are you okay with that? Like, because that's a hard conversation to have on your own dating. That's where you need a prompt like that. But I just think that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's got a lot of hidden minds.
Well, it's emotional, right? It's your family. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We've heard,
especially if you've never looked or seen or recognized any unhealthy patterns in your family dynamic.
Yeah.
And then someone else is coming in with a completely clear view. That happened in some regards in our relationship from me towards JJ. And, that was challenge. And now JJ obviously see things very differently, but I saw it from the get-go. Like it was like a very clear issue.
And also if you're the one pointing out the stuff, like, you have to be somewhat humble about it too. It's like you're stepping into decades of family dynamics. So, like you might see something, you might see some things clearly, but expecting everything to change magically, and just being the voice of reason is going to be difficult.
Family of origin, I think it needs to be talked a lot more in dating, in the dating world, is because
that's a good point.
That is like, that's going back to values. That's where we actually learn our value system, is watching our parents interact with each other and the world around them, how they loved us, how they didn't love us. I mean, those are all values that are formed in those first 20 years of life that we carry into relationships. And so,
yeah, when you marry someone, you marry their family.
Yes.
Like, that's the reality.
And the patterns and the habits and the beliefs and
Yeah.
the values. I mean, in our book, we have almost 50 questions just about your upbringing, maybe even more. And like a couple of them are like, hey, how did I know you talked about the spender saver with the parents, like how did your parents manage their money? But another one, how did you see your parents interact with each other? Were they kind and loving or were they harsh and cold? Right. I mean, what did you observe? A lot of it was, did you see your mom and dad laugh with each other? Were they playful with each other? What did they do when they fought? What did that look like? Things like that. At family dinner, did you guys have family dinners? If you did, what are the things that you talked about? Or was the TV on in the background? All these things. And going back to what's so important to ask these things is it makes the person you're dating across the table from you look inward. That's why these prompts are so good, because they probably have never asked themselves that. Like you said, JJ, I didn't know about my family. You only know what you know. It's your norm. But then, new fresh eyes, maybe someone more aware, someone who's done some counseling, whoever is like, wow, that's different than my family, or that I don't think that's healthy. Because when I met Casey, his mom was on her 4th marriage. He had completely normalized.
No.
And 4, by the way, there's not even statistics on 4th marriages. Like most people don't get married, by the way, 4 times. Like the highest is 3.
Yeah, they quit.
They quit. Like after
I didn't even have 4 girlfriends in my life. So seriously.
So he was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that like this actually isn't normal or healthy. And he's like, really? I'm like, yes. Like, what? Like
100%.
Casey was
True.
24.
He was like, wait, I was planning on having 3 more after you. This is
exactly.
This really throws a wrench in my plan.
In my 30s, so.
Yeah. So
You're my 30s.
Yeah, exactly. So we only know what we know. And so I think you got to give the person grace as you're getting to know them. It's not like if they answer a question and you don't like it, you just break up, but get curious. Get curious,
okay.
Ask the tough questions, be okay having the conversations. And if the person across from you on your date is like, you know what, I don't know, because a lot of people will say that as a response to these questions, you say, well, that's okay. Take some time to think about it. And on our next date or the next time we chat, like, I'd love to hear what you thought of, like, don't just let them be with like, I don't know. Because I don't know isn't really an answer.
Like follow up on it and get more curious.
Like, hey, have you had time to think about that?
Yes, if they constantly say, I don't know, that's a
red flag.
Red flag.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know to everything as a red flag. Yeah.
If they're not reflecting.
Some is good, but too many I don't know.
It's normal to say I don't know if you really don't know, but you want to make sure that there's follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that they are thinking about it. Okay, so this is so good, you guys. I love this book. I love the questions in it. I think even around our conversation about compatibility, asking kind of questions like this can also help and reveal some levels of compatibility. So you guys tell us the name of it again and where everyone can get it.
Okay, so it's 365 connecting questions for couples. Again, it's not a marriage specific book. It's actually, we talk about relationships. So it's good for dating, engaged, and even married couples. And you can find it on Amazon or anywhere you buy books.
Literally, this is like the new present I'm going to buy when people get engaged.
Yep.
I feel like it's like, here's this book. You're like, actually, like I did buy one of y'all's books back in the day and gave it to one of my best friends and her husband when they got engaged. So, there you go.
Well, this, when you're handing somebody a marriage book or a relationship book, it could be, I don't know, could be taken wrong. But this
like, hey, you need this. You suck at this. No.
But this is kind of one of those books it's like the gift of connection. Like,
it's very positive. It's a very positive book. All of you ultimate optimists on this, podcast will love it. And then what's really cool is Penguin Random House. They were like, hey, you guys want to add more questions and like update it? Because we had originally self-published this book. And we said, can we add some faith and spirituality questions? And they said, yes. And so in the back of the book, the bonus section, there's a ton of faith and spirituality questions as well.
Fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for being on today. This is so great. I love just hanging with you guys.
I know, it's so fun. It's so fun to talk about how similar we are.
I know, our dynamics are so similar.
Kate, you and I would be great roommates.
No, seriously. Casey. We would there's not a lot of people I would go on trips on with, but Megan, I would go with you somewhere because I feel like we would just get along.
So.
And be
I'm
on the
going to go
same
to a
page.
concert with JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to get a tattoo after?
Oh, yes.
Smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Casey's like, yeah.
No, seriously. Let's go get tattoos next time.
Love it.
That's a deep commitment there.
Yes. You've got so many.
Maybe if
He
you
sees them on your arms. You've got so many tats. What's another one? He's very
Yeah. What's another one?
What I would say is he's very thoughtful about his tattoos. He really designs them.
art.
There's meaning, and he looks at it as art more. Yeah.
Me
JJ,
too.
do you want to show them yours? That's very thoughtful. And if people can see
Stop
this on
taking
the
off your
camera,
pants. It's inappropriate. No, I'm just
Whoa.
kidding. Oh. Hey, is that like the
Is that a dog?
No, the bear.
It's a raccoon, you
Oh, a
guys.
raccoon.
No, it's so thoughtful. It's JJ's favorite animal. So
Oh,
Yeah.
a raccoon. I
With
love
a cowboy
it.
hat.
I love it.
no, literally, I can't believe he got that tattoo. But it's great. This is literally JJ's personality. So I fought him on it for like over a year. I was like, please don't get a tattoo of a raccoon. Like I'm the one who has to look at this thing, you know? Like
And I said, my body, my choice.
originally he was gonna and I said, my body, my choice. And I'm just kidding. Oh my God.
That is the best. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, if it makes you feel any better, we've been married 21 years and Casey just started getting tattoos 6 years ago because I was the one, because I'm a planner and I'm so I'm a thinker, he's a feeler. And so I'm like, you got to think through this. Like if it's on your body for the rest of your life, you have to love it.
When
love it.
I surf, so I'm in the ocean all the time, and that's kind of like where I went with my
His
tattoos.
are more nautical. Yeah.
Yes, they're awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
See you soon. Bye-bye. The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kait and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring this show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.